We here now, mugga. We here now. Ain't no going back. I always knew I could do it. The stank chose me. These niggas, they can't hold me. I do it just like Kobe. Writer's block over. I got through it like Broly. NYC nigga, I moved like Antony. Late nights doing push-ups.
We are back with the livest reading
I'm finally
show
at the age I
that
can
we
really
got
pick a
going
book
on
up.
right now.
Don't
Read,
confuse
remember,
focus, it don't
repeat.
mind meaning shook up.
Read, remember, repeat. You know what I mean? And we doing this one right now. You know what I mean? Y'all see it. Curtis Jackson. Hustle harder, hustle smarter. It's for the coaching, man. You know what I mean? How y'all feeling today? Y'all see I got the Syracuse going on. Shout out to Syracuse, you know what I mean? College, the ball team. You know what I mean? You already know, man. I live up this way. And now I'm sort of like a Syracuse native, right? So you got to show love the way you at, you know what I mean? Definitely happy and grateful for the day. Getting some more knowledge to y'all, man. Just tap in. If you got time, you know what I mean? You ain't doing nothing. I promise you, it'll elevate you to the next level. But boom, chapter 1. Ooh, finding fearlessness. Come on, man. I wouldn't give a tinker's damn for a man who isn't sometimes afraid. Fear's the spice that makes it interesting to go ahead. Daniel Boone. A few years ago, I hired a French guy named Corentin Villemur to run my website. When he wasn't working for me, one of Corentin's hobbies was to take selfies in spectacular settings, standing precariously on the edge of a cliff or sitting on the roof of a high rise with his legs dangling off the sides. When he showed those pics to the guys in my office, they would shake their heads and laugh, saying, only a white guy would do that. To them, it was like skydiving or trying to pet wild animals, an unnecessary risk that only someone who had never experienced real danger would take. I saw it differently. I saw an opportunity for freedom. So one day, I took Corentin up to the roof of my old offices in Times Square to take some pictures of my own, but instead of just dangling my legs off the side, I decided up the ante. On the roof was a water tower, a wooden barrel-like structure rising several stories above us. Without any hesitation, I climbed up its rickety ladder and took a seat on its edge. I must have been 40 stories up in the air below me. The people on the streets looked like ants at a picnic. If I slipped, it would have been a long trip down to the sidewalk. The stakes and me were very high, but I didn't experience any fear. Instead, I took in a spectacular view. The New York Times building towered over me to my left, and the Hudson River sparkled behind me. I felt incredibly alive. Seeing my hometown from a bird's eye view filled me with the same ambition I felt as a younger man. New York City was literally at my feet, the city of dreams, and I was going to keep hustling my hardest to realize every one of them. I leaned back and Corentin snapped a spectacular shot for IG. When I got back down to my office, I posted it with this caption. I live on the edge. I'm only free because I'm not afraid. Everything I was afraid of already happened to me. A lot of people love the post. That's real. One wrote with and another adding, man, what a powerful word. But not everyone appreciated it. About a week after posting the pic, I received a letter from my insurance company explaining that if I knowingly risked my life like that again, they would immediately cancel my policy. The insurance company shouldn't have been surprised though. If there's one trait that has defined me since an early age, it's fearlessness. A lot of people probably think I was born fearless. I might project that energy, but it's not true. I was scared of the dark as a child. Just like I was definitely terrified of being killed when I was on the street, or petrified of failing when I started rapping. I've experienced anxiety and angst of all kinds. The difference is I refuse to allow myself to grow comfortable in those fears. Comfort, I've learned, is a dream killer. It saps our ambition, blinds our vision, promotes complacency. The number one thing most people are comfortable with is fear. Not that most of them would admit it. Ask someone if they're living in a constant state of fear, and they'll probably say, of course not. That's just pride talking though. Fear dominates most people's lives. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of loneliness. I don't think there's anything shameful about experiencing fear. A little bit of paranoia is exactly extremely helpful. There are a lot of real dangers out there. A lot of people with bad intentions. Being aware of those possibilities makes it easier to avoid them. What you cannot do is become complacent with any of those fears. If you fear loss, you can't spend your life avoiding intimacy and love, something I've struggled with. If you fear failure, you can't stop taking risks. If you fear the unknown, you can't stop trying new experiences. It is not death that a man should fear, said the Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius, but he should fear never beginning to live. I can trace that root of my own sense of fearlessness back to one specific event, the death of my mother. That's a special kind of fear, one that's hard to describe. More than getting shot 9 times, losing my mother was the most significant thing that ever happened to me, even in middle age. I can still feel her loss, but through her death, my mother managed to give me a rare gift, the seed of fearlessness. It would take a lot of time for that trait to fully blossom in me. I would unfortunately have to experience a lot more difficult and dangerous moments until it became second nature. In this chapter, I'm going to share some of the experiences and situations that helped encourage that sense of gutsiness in me, that allowed me to accept that what lives on the other side of fear isn't danger or even death, but freedom. I want to show you that fearlessness is a strength you can develop too, a muscle you can build, hopefully without having to experience the trauma that made mine so jacked. You don't have to lose your mother or survive getting shot 9 times to develop the belief that you can survive anything that happens to you. That the only thing you can't overcome is never taking risks in the first place. Don't be afraid to get hit. Team sports weren't my thing as a kid. Didn't matter what we were playing, football, basketball, or baseball. If we lost, I'd always be quick to point out whose fault it was. Yo, we got blown because you can't guard your fucking man. I might tell a teammate who got burned on defense in basketball, he kept busting your ass. We lost because of you, bro. It wasn't that I was trying to evade responsibility. If I made a bad play or couldn't guard my man, I'd be the first to admit it. It was more that I didn't like having my success ride on someone else's ability or inability to perform. It's a feeling I haven't been able to shake to this day. I always say that if I were ever going to bet on a horse at the track, then let it be me, god damn it, because I know I'm going to run it as hard as I can. I was smart enough to accept I wasn't emotionally suited for team sports. I needed a sport where if I lost, it was my fault alone. Individual sport like golf and tennis weren't sports anyone I knew played. I only lived about 20 minutes from where the US Open is played in Flushing, but it might just as well have been in another state. And in my hood, you usually only find yourself running if someone was chasing you. There was, however, a police athletic league boxing gym near me, run by a local fighter named Allah Understanding. He was from the nearby Baisley projects, and he came up in the days when having a strong knuckle game was something people respected, aspired to, and feared. I trained with Allah when I was around 12 years old, and I knew almost right away that boxing was the right fit for me. One day I was hanging out at the gym when a street dude named Black Justice stopped by. Accompanied by one of his boys, Blackie, as we called him, was one of the most respected dealers in Baisley, a top lieutenant for the Supreme Team, the biggest drug crew in Queens at the time. His boy was essentially his muscle, a constant presence to make sure a rival would have to think twice before trying him. They were probably only 18 or 19 years old themselves, but already their reputation were well known around the neighborhood. The kind of young guns you didn't want any problem with. The gym got quiet as well, as we all watched Blackie and his boy walk around. Then without a word, Blackie's boy stopped in front of one of the heavy bags and started laying into one. Bam, 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 bam. As the youngest kid in the space, common sense would dictate I keep my mouth shut and just observe. But maybe because I was the youngest, I felt a little bolder and my big mouth got the better of me. As soon as the guy was finished on the bags, I called out to him. Hey man, You look good hitting that bag. I said loud enough for everyone in the gym to hear. But that bag doesn't hit back. Blackie whipped around. What you say, young boy? You talking to me? Nah, you a big nigga, I quickly replied. I'm talking to him, I said, nodding toward his man. Most guys in their position might have whooped my ass or worse on the spot. But these guys took my shit, talking in stride. Blackie had a generous spirit, free of the greed that infected a lot of his peers. Instead of taking offense, they both respected my outsized courage. Yeah, I like this kid, Blackie said, gesturing to me. We gonna have some champions come out of here because this little nigga, crazy. That recognition alone would have made my whole day. Instead, Blackie did us one better. This gym could use some work if we gonna get the most out of these fighters. He announced, looking around at the shabby setting. What kind of stuff do y'all need, right? Write it all down. 2 weeks later, the gym was completely refurnished. Blackie had gotten us boxing shoes, trunks, new ropes, punching bags, and a new set of weights to replace our old rusty set that probably hadn't been updated since the 60s. From then on, Blackie took care of us. Whatever we needed, he got us. Although it was technically the Parks and Recreation Department's building, after that, it was Blackie's gym. I hadn't opened my big mouth just to get it fed, but that's what ended up happening. It was an important lesson for me to learn. You need to bend fear into moments of action at every opportunity, because the fearless not only recognize but also often reward one of their own. We're going to end that one right there. You already know this book is spicy. Please remember
I'm like
to
Freddy in their
Let's
dreams,
do it.
unmasked Jason. If the devil on my shoulder, I'ma smash Satan. I've been really getting tired of the back playing, no more double back.